Well, good evening. Tonight we're going to be making a spaghetti squash carbonara. So I have my spaghetti squash. I cut it in half. I took the seeds out. I lined a cookie sheet with foil. I'm going to take oil. I put a little bit on each one, and I'm going to rub that in. I'm going to rub that inside and out on the squash. And then I'm going to take and salt and pepper it. Let me just wash this off my hands. Hold on one second. It's kind of hard to pick up the pepper grinder when I've got oil on my hands. So I'm going to salt and pepper the inside. And then I'm going to put fresh ground pepper in it. And then we're going to take it and flip it upside down, and we're going to cook it in the oven for 40 to 50 minutes until a fork goes through the skin at 425. So preheat your oven to 425. Put this in for 40 to 50 minutes. I'll see you then. Okay, I took the spaghetti squash out of the oven. You're going to let it sit for 10 minutes before you take it out. And right here I have 3 strips of bacon, which I chopped. We're going to cook that off in the pan until it's crisp. We'll be back when that's crisp. Okay, I'm going to take the bacon out. As you can see, it's all crumbled. Use a slotted spoon, put it on a paper towel so you don't make a mess. I don't want to lose any of this delicious bacon, so I'm going to use a little tongue to help me here. I'm going to put that in. You're going to leave the oil in there, and then you're going to put 2 tablespoons of shallot and 3 cloves of garlic minced. You're going to just stir those probably about 3 or 4 minutes till they're a little brown. Probably I'd say closer to 3. The pan's pretty hot. So we're going to let this get browned and we'll be back in a second. Okay, while that's cooking, you can see the squash is nice and caramelized on the inside. You're going to take this all out of here and you're going to shred it. Almost so it looks like spaghetti. I'm sure most of you have had spaghetti squash before. You want to make sure you get all that wonderful stuff out of it. It's so caramelized. It smells so good. It smells like candy right now. So I'm going to do the other half. I'm going to move that off the heat because it's starting to get too crispy. So we're going to do the same thing with the other half. And I'll be back in just a second. Okay, I took this off the heat. This is your garlic and your onions. And we're going to add 2/3 of a cup of milk. And then we're going to add Parmesan cheese. I've got a 1/2 cup of fresh grated Parmesan cheese. And you're going to give that a nice stir. You're going to whisk it for a minute. If you want this to all cook up while the pan is still hot. So we're going to let this cook for a minute till it starts to thicken. And I'm going to add some salt and pepper. Probably about, because there's a lot of salt in the bacon, I'm only going to add about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and a bunch of black pepper. Because the cameraman likes black pepper. Okay, we're going to give that a stir. Keep that going. And then we're going to add to that, we're going to add our 2 egg yolks. We're going to put the egg yolks right in there, and we're going to whisk them until they thicken up the sauce. You don't want to leave this on the heat when you put the eggs on, because you'll have scrambled eggs, and that's not a good thing. So as you can see, this is starting to thicken, and it's got a nice, wonderful smell to it. All right. I'll be back in just a second when the sauce thickens up. As you can see, the sauce is thickened. I'm going to add my bacon back in there. If you want to use pancetta instead, that's totally your choice. I like either one. So we're going to take that and we're going to pour it over our squash, which is still warm in the bowl, and the sauce is nice and hot. And then we're going to give it a good stir and mix it up. Let me get that fork out of the way. And you would think you were eating spaghetti carbonara with the spaghetti sauce. It looks wonderful. So here's the finished product. If you want to add more cheese to the top of it when you're done, by all means go ahead. I love my cheese, so I'll probably put extra cheese on mine. But here's the recipe. See you next week.